Good morning. I'll quickly go through my 5 minutes here. My name is Leon Simard. I'm the Manitoba First Nations Food Security Coordinator. And on the first slide here, you'll see some of the tribal council areas of Manitoba. I largely work outside of Winnipeg, although my office is here in Winnipeg. And during the winter time is the time when we're doing some planning and proposal writing. My position is funded by Health Canada. It doesn't have a lot of money for projects, so that's why we have to help communities seek proposal monies outside of my budget from Health Canada. I work at the Four Arrows Health Authority here in Winnipeg. And once we begin to roll the slides, I had asked Julie just to run through them all, and I'll just speak to them rather than saying next every once in a while. So I guess we'll go. One of the first projects was the Heritage Chicken Project, and these are black Jersey Giants that I got eggs from in Hazel Ridge, Manitoba. And there they are just before transporting them up. And these eggs were from Louise May's farm. These chickens, I got some eggs from Louise May's farm. We had an incubator project in Sandy Bay where families actually hatched the chickens. And there we were loading the incubator that day with Stanley Musso, Dalina Bolio, lots of French names up there. And this is Demarais and Roulette. So we had three different families doing different hatches. And the incubators we applied through MAFRA, and we got a small grant for them to do a project called Bridging the Generations. And they were able to, and this is hatch day on Maggie's farm. I always think of Bob Dylan when I think about Maggie's farm. But this was hatch day last July. Not a very good shot, but we took a lot of pictures, and this is about 2 weeks later at Maggie's farm. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. And these are the black Jersey Giants that you've seen in the very first picture. These are the offspring. And she ended up with 23. And this is about middle of July. Sandy Bay isn't a long ways, so it wasn't that expensive to travel and support and visit one of these more southern projects. And Maggie loved her chickens. I'll tell you a little more about it. That's her and her husband. He was a little skeptical, but he got really attached, and he had his chair out there. And they had a really nice fencing, and they were free range and pastured, so they lived a life of Riley, as you'd say. And there's me and Anna and my chicken consultant, Pilar Fogel. Switch into the greenhouses now. We did a number of greenhouse projects in the north as well. This is in Thompson. York Landing, we went up there, and this is Patty Saunders. Raquel from Food Matters. And I just want to mention Chloe too, because she was listed as my co-presenter. She just started a month ago, but I work a lot with the Food Matters people, and we partnered. It just makes it easier when two of us go into a community. And this is us in York Landing about in September, I think we were up there. And Patty had already done a greenhouse, and this is made out of recycled trampolines. And so whenever we can recycle or reuse, and we do that. This is Patty's yard, like without her greenhouse, but she cleared some forest, and the loam was this deep, and she had wonderful carrots and potatoes and lots of produce. And there's Patty there again. It's important to fence your property, like your gardens in the north, because of not only wild animals, but a lot of dogs like to dig in the dirt once you dig. So this is in Poplar River. They had a very successful greenhouse project. We hadn't planted yet, so this year we'll be planting. They did the building this year, and we're going to do some more workshopping. And working with the Assiniboine Community College, some of them will be coming down to take like sort of an intense week course in greenhouse. And they had their own portable sawmill. So they were very self-sufficient and self-directed. Like all I did was order the plastic, and this is what they did. And this is in Peguis. They did more of a plexiglass kind of greenhouse. And again, this year, this was later in the summer, so this year, again, they'll be their first year doing the actual planting. And this is another shot of the farm tour north of Thompson's. Excuse me. So agriculture is possible quite far north because of the long, hot summers. And if you get your stuff started early, then you're more apt to have a produce. And there's the recycled trampoline frames again. In many communities, a lot of trampolines laying around or in the dump. So this is in Peguis. They had a large community garden there, and they're really looking forward to this summer. We did some planning sessions already to do some farmers market there during their treaty days. You can see the Ferris wheel in the background where they have there's like about 1,000 people there on any given day during their annual week-long celebration. So this is in July, so they're really pumped to do some local market gardening this year. And this is what I do in the north sometimes. Before we got the greenhouses, I would take up many of the greenhouses here in Winnipeg that I work with. When they know I'm working with communities, they willingly give you stuff. So many of the plane trips, I had the plane full of plants, and then we would start transplanting, and at least people can see success right away. You don't have to plant and hope that it sprouts. I like to show them how to transplant, and we did cabbage and lots of onions, and of course potatoes and flowers and so on. We also did a quail and bantam chicken experiment, and this is Pilar again, my partner in chicken crime. We did that with the youth in Poplar River. They were successful in hatching many of the eggs, but they got their incubator. See the little eggs there are the quail eggs, and the chickens that hatched are still there. Okay. And there's 2 of them that hatched out of that one batch. And you can go a little faster because Paul is waving his fingers. There's Peguis again. I'll just name the community, I guess. And quickly go through some of the raised bed and conventional gardening. This is William White neighborhood. That's my square foot garden. And that's how it grows after when you plant real intensively, that's only 8 by 12. That's garlic and carrots and so on. This is in Sandy Bay. Again, a corn crop, tomatoes. So and this is in Rolling River, first-time gardeners. I was so surprised. I thought they were old pros at it. They said, no, it's our first time. But they had a wonderful garden. These ones are quite professional already. They had lots of potatoes. This is an old-timer we interviewed, and he had a lot of potatoes, and he had part of his ready for the next year. This is in Manitoba, Hollow Water, Sandy Bay, Hollow Water again, Poplar River, and out of 2 rows of potatoes, he got 3 bags. That was amazing, because his soil is and there's pumpkins in Sandy Bay, and again, in Peguis, there's some people there who already are quite agricultural minded, and I took up some laying hens for this guy. We call him Nature Boy. And there's the first egg that was laid in Sandy Bay just yesterday. And there's me.